bring in Scott Tranter, Director of Data Science for Decision Desk HQ, Kurt Bardella, Democratic strategist, LA Times contributor, former House GOP Oversight Committee member. Gentlemen, good to see both of you. Kurt, are Democrats, I don't want to say starting to get scared, but it appears as though that they are not as unified as they once were.
Yeah, I mean, I think they should be concerned. And they should be more concerned, by the way, about the economic issues right now than anything involving Hunter Biden, anything involving impeachment. The economic stuff cuts through all of the D.C. chattering class BS that we all might be enveloped in every day. But people are feeling real pain in this country, in their day-to-day lives. And, they're not tuning in every minute of every day to cable news. They're seeing.
We are indeed glad that our viewers are tuning in.
Which we love our viewers. But,
but
your viewers know they're paying more for gas at the pump. They're paying more for groceries. The cost of living is more. It's harder to live right now on what they have. And that's a big problem for Joe Biden.
All right. President Biden today, at the end of his speech, take a listen.
Let me close with this. And there's a lot more I know we could talk about. I wish I had a chance to take all your questions, but I'm going to get in real trouble if I do that.
He said, I'm going to get in real trouble if I take your questions. I guess this is what I'm getting at. Is the president losing his most important constituency, which is the advocacy media on the left that now appears to sort of wonder what's happening here?
One of the strengths that Biden used to have was that he would be the guy that would take your question. He would be the guy that if a reporter came up to him or someone shouted a question, that he would be kind of that freewheeling Joe. And there was something endearing about it. Even if he didn't say the right thing all the time, people just kind of liked that part of him. Now that he's kind of in this controlled environment and he's not being as forthright, not being as loose with just talking to people like a normal person, I think that hurts him, actually, because that's the one thing he had going for him. And if you take that away, he's just some guy in an empty shirt.
Right. He's some guy who is totally scripted and says what he's sometimes told to say. David Ignatius, Washington Post. This came out a couple of days ago, but it still was a meaningful watershed moment, Scott. I don't think Biden and Vice President Harris should run for re-election. It's painful to say, given my admiration for much of what they have accomplished. But if he and Harris campaign together in 2024, I think Biden risks undoing his greatest achievement, which was stopping Trump. Obviously, that doesn't really matter much to the electorate, what David Ignatius says in the Washington Post. Does, though, sort of this letting out of the air of support that we're seeing across Washington and across usually Biden-friendly media change things?
Absolutely, right. To underline what Kurt was saying, look, everyone has an opinion about Joe Biden, right? The AP NORC poll that David Ignatius mentioned, 67% of voters think that he's too old. If he looked at the NewsNation poll that we released last week, the vast majority of voters think that they want, or I'm sorry, Democratic voters want another opportunity or another candidate. Those numbers, he needs to change. He needs to change because he needs to talk more, he needs to answer more questions, he needs to be out there. And whether or not he does it is a big question. But if he doesn't, those numbers are going to stay the same or get worse for him.
How worried when you have a lot of Democratic friends who speak candidly in a way they don't speak on television. Don't use names. You can if you want to, but don't use names. How worried are Democrats that this is going to go from bad to worse, both with the economy and then with what Scott was laying out?
There's very real concern. I mean, let's be honest. Anytime that you're the incumbent and you're looking at numbers this bad, that's not a good thing. I don't care what spin you want to try to put on it. It's not good. It's a position of weakness. Now, the one thing that I think Democrats are feeling slightly better at this week is impeachment is one way to rally the Democratic Party base around someone that they're not particularly enthused about right now. So depending on how Republicans play impeachment, that could actually help Biden with his base.
Never underestimate Republicans' ability to screw things up, right, Scott?
Either party. That applies to both.
And a diplomat as well. It is good to see you, my friend. Thank you. Good to see you, Kurt. Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.